This is the plaintiff, Juanita Wright. She says her 27-year-old son was tragically murdered, and the defendant was hired to print T-shirts with his picture on them for the funeral. The defendant delivered the T-shirts late, the morning of the funeral, in fact. And when she got them, they were damaged. She was so upset, she's suing for the return of the $700 she paid. And when the pandemic is over, she's going to have a proper memorial with new shirts to honor his memory. This is the defendant, Deanna Halstead. She says she did her best to get the correct material for the shirts for the plaintiff. But during the pandemic, she had trouble finding the right ones. She did her best considering the circumstances. She delivered half the shirts the day before the funeral, and everything seemed okay. If there were any problems, she could have fixed them for the plaintiff before the funeral. She never complained, so here they are. She's accused of making terrible teas.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. This is so sad. The plaintiff's son was murdered, and she ordered T-shirts from the defendant with her son's picture on it for the memorial service, as the pictures came out terrible on the shirt. Now, the defendant saying she did the best she could in the middle of a pandemic and says that she delivered the shirts and the plaintiff never complained. It's the case of terrible teas.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Ms. Wright.
Yes.
I am so sorry for your loss. My understanding is that your son was murdered?
Yes.
When did that happen?
May 4th, 2020.
Okay, in the middle of this pandemic. And you decided to hold some type of memorial for him thereafter, correct?
It was the funeral itself. I was able
It was the actual funeral.
to have a funeral.
Okay. In preparation for that funeral, you decided to purchase some T-shirts with some writing on it. Tell me about that.
Personally, I was the one that just wanted to wear the T-shirt with a picture on it of my son. Because that's something that me and him used to wear, T-shirts, jeans, and white Air Force Nikes. So after everyone heard that I wanted to wear it, then everybody else wanted to wear them.
All right, so other people also wanted to have the T-shirt. So Dior, what is Dior's relationship to you? She's a half-sister to the gentleman who passed, to your son?
Yes, to my son.
So she knew Ms. Halstead, and she told you about this connection with Ms. Halstead to have the T-shirts printed individually, like each would say nephew or, sister or whatever it is that they needed to say, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Did you ever talk to Ms.
Shirts.
Yeah, can I see them?
This was his daughter's shirt.
Right.
This was the shirt of me and my son. As you can see, the picture looks like it's from 10 years ago. And the writing on the back is already coming off. And the writing is different from what's on the front.
Okay.
This one here is for his...
Oh, is that the actual picture coming off?
Yes. This shirt hasn't even been worn. This is how it was taken out the package. And you can see the picture. And it's never been worn.
And it's cracking. Okay. All right, so let me ask you, when do you get the T-shirts delivered?
The T-shirts were delivered to me at 12:30, May 17th of the day of the funeral.
When were they supposed to be delivered?
May 13th.
And the amount you paid is actually $620 because you got a discount, right?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't know anything about a discount. All I know is it was $700 for 35 shirts. The shirts.
Did you hand Dior $700?
Handed her and cash apped her.
Who's her? Dior?
Dior, yes.
Oh, well then Dior owes you $80. Let her know. Because Ms. Halstead, let me talk to you. How much were you getting paid for this job? $620?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? What went wrong with these shirts? I'm watching how it's cracking and it's falling apart. What was the problem?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The judge was just asking the defendant why these T-shirts started to fall apart during the memorial service. It is unclear who's going to win this case. One thing is clear, this is really, really sad. Let's go back into the courtroom.
When I got the order for the T-shirts, I ordered from Amazon. The material that I use is from Amazon. Amazon sent me the wrong material. When I contacted Amazon to get the correct material, they said I would not be able to get it right away because of the pandemic. It had everything delayed. So even if I reordered it, I wouldn't be able to get it on time. I was in the house for a long time, so I didn't realize how how many stores were actually closed. I got in my car and tried to go to Walmart, different places that I knew the stores that I needed.
What was the problem with the T-shirt? In your answer to the complaint, what you say is that you did the best you could because the materials weren't available.
I let Dior know. This lady, I never met her before. I don't know her. I never met her. This is the first time I've seen her. I seen her on a picture. Other than that, I did everything with Dior. I talked to Dior and I told Dior that I could not find the right material in the store. No of the stores that I usually went to were closed because of the pandemic. I also had to go get more vinyl, but their store wasn't open like it normally is supposed to be open. So then I
know, but if you can't do it right, then don't do it. Don't take the job. Let her go to someone else. But you know, why is it that she should pay you? I mean, I'm looking at the T-shirt. Stuff is falling right off.
I talked to Dior, and Dior told me to continue with the job and do the best that I could do. That's the person that I talked to. I don't communicate.
But you knew that Dior was her agent, that she was doing it on her behalf, you know, and I'm looking at these shirts. How many of the shirts do you have left, Ms. Wright?
I still have some that I haven't even given to people because they're all messed up and the people don't want it. They only did this on the strength of me. Nobody wanted this until I said I wanted it. And this young lady, just like she said, she never met me, but she didn't answer my call. She did not return my call. She also did not return my text. I gave her one call, left a message. I left her one text, and that was it. She never responded to me at all.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Was there ever a time when she offered to make them correctly?
No, from what I heard through Dior, because she would not speak to me, Dior told me that she would do mugs. And I said, we didn't pay $20 a piece for mugs.
I've heard enough. I've heard enough. I don't think there's ever an excuse to say, all right, I can't do a good job, but I can do a garbage job that's going to fall apart. Is that okay with you? Yeah, that's okay. All right, and then charge the person for it. You know that Dior was there on her behalf, bringing you her money, and I'm not going to allow it. I am going to order you to return the $620 verdict for the plaintiff. And if you want to I don't know if there's ever even anything you can do with those shirts. If you want them back, you got to send her a prepaid label and she'll send them back to you. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure the defendant is not too happy about that. She's got to return the money. Ms. Halstead, tell me, what do you think about the judge's decision? You lost.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. She needed to give me the shirts back before I do anything because the shirts cost money, the vinyl cost money, the material that I spent cost money. So
they didn't turn out to be very good, so the quality really was terrible. That's why you lost. Let me go to Ms. Wright, who's the plaintiff. You just won the case. Ms. Wright, you should look a little excited somewhat because you did win here today.
Yeah, but you know, it's hard. And it hurts that I even had to go to court for this, knowing that, you know, she did do something wrong and never responded to me at all. So it has prevailed today. Thank you, Judge.
All right, let's join the judge now, Judge Melian and her husband, for another session of After the Verdict.
This case, Marilyn, really highlights the importance when you're buying goods from a merchant as a consumer, where you have to have them by a deadline for something like this. you got to have some cushion. You got to have some time in between. You got to get delivery of things like this at least a couple days in advance.
Well, she
Otherwise,
tried. She was supposed to get it on the 15th.
Right.
And so not only was the defendant incredibly late bringing it to them, you know, as they're walking out to the funeral, which is incredibly stressful.
but there's no time to cure it or make it better.
Right. And typically you do have to give, under the Uniform Commercial Code, which governs most all transactions in most all states, you have to give the vendor a chance to cure, but not when it's an impossibility, really, because she already had the funeral and that's when she wanted them for. So that's what happens when you provide the item, the product, so close to the deadline. In fact, almost past the deadline.
Very risky business doing that, and in this case,
And she knew that, I mean, did you see that? It was the pictures were falling off. She knew she got the wrong thing from Amazon, so why would she continue forward with that?
well, Mrs. Wright, God love her, had to bury her child, and I'm sure this didn't make that day any easier for her.
No, I'm sure it didn't, and but she's right in the lawsuit, and she prevails, and hopefully she said that what she was going to do was have a proper memorial for him where there isn't distancing, and hopefully she'll be able to do that and buy the shirts for that memorial.
You know, Isabella, you would think that we didn't have a lot of cases like that where a sibling sues a sibling, but it happens a lot. The reality is this: try to get the money back. If the person is just saying pound sand, well, you should take him to court because he deserves that.